enough hope?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of words of hope to say to them?
Sometimes.
That they are blessed, that they are
Sometimes.
wonderful, that they're remarkable, that they're fantastic, and there is joy coming. They are going to feel a lot better. We want to keep up that energy. You are in charge of the energy, okay? Because you can not only energize yourself, but you can energize a couple of people around you. And just like that old game of telephone, you want to, instead of just telling one person, you want to tell a lot more people, because you know it gets garbled by about the 10th person, Hope becomes hopelessness if you're not careful. So I want you to help us with that. Well, I am so excited. I could hardly sleep. I'm so excited for our speaker tonight. And I don't know what she's going to do. I mean, she could tell me she's going to do anything, and I believe it. I have this marvelous picture here on our program of Farima twirling in this skirt. At first I looked at it, and it looked like it was a bird. I thought, oh, and then I looked at it again. No, that's not a bird in flight. That's a woman in flight. I mean, it was so incredible. And Farima, she talks about her being Iranian born, and she's a dance ethnologist. Is that how you pronounce it, Farima? And an award-winning, internationally acclaimed dance artist, and a choreography, and all of those things that just, for me, I'm a storyteller, so I got to tell you a quick story. I once took modern dance. And I, at that time, weighed probably 300 pounds. And me in a black leotard was a sight to behold. But then in came a beautiful African-American lady of about 300 pounds in a white leotard. And when the two of us got on the floor, and we were the only ones, it made magic.
Yes.
Just that yin-yang energy. And I was dancing at this studio in Hollywood, and a gentleman walked up and said, I want to say, you ladies are so graceful and so beautiful. And I don't know when I've ever seen anybody do this. I thought, that's for sure, And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this gentleman. His name was Gower Champion.
Oh, yeah.
Marge and Gower were dancers, and that's their rehearsal hall, is where we were doing the dancing. So they're one of the greatest choreographers. Said we were something. He wasn't too sure what. So that was my only foray into dancing. But I know that we're going to hear something and watch something fantastic. Please welcome Farima. It's nice to meet you. And we have a clock up there, and you have until quarter after 2 or after 20 hours. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And I just want to say thank you for the message. I needed to hear that today. So I was about to, I was actually going to this phase of saying, oh, nobody likes what I teach and do. And then suddenly this happens, like, oh, there is hope. I want to first thank you guys all for having me here. It's a great honor to come and to be able to speak about what I do and a little bit about what ancient Persian healing dances are. And my hope is to have classes here in the future and invite all of you to come and explore. If you have any questions, feel free to cut me in the middle. I'd like to just briefly explain a little bit about myself, so you know a little bit about me. I'm Iranian American. I'm Persian. My father is from Azerbaijan, and my mother is from Iran, so I'm half and half. I come from a family of artists. My great-grandmother was a dancer, my grandmother was a dancer, my mother was a dancer, I became a dancer. I had no choice. Since I was a child, I was pushed into just learning arts, and it was interesting growing up in the family because of course my grandmother learned a different technique, my mother learned a different technique, so they always argued about me, and they always said the other is wrong. So it was an interesting growing up. So I learned and from them. They were my first teacher, and then I was exposed to other great teachers and masters, traveled the world, and became a dance ethnologist. I research dance. I do dance archaeology. I go around the world, and I worked with UNESCO, and my mission is to preserve the ancient history of Iran and their ritual dances, which is no one knows about, and they're gone, so we're trying to bring it back.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It is also for me, it's a very passionate field because, of course, because of political situation, that right has been taken away by the woman. So for me, it's also giving rights to women and bringing it back. So that's one of my mission is I call my project the Lioness Arising. So it's bringing it back, the power of female energy.
Where's April?
Love it.
So that's a little bit about my dance background and a little bit about my spiritual background. When I was a child, actually, I come from a very interesting family because I actually have the bloodline of Saint Fatima, which is the daughter of Prophet Muhammad.
Yes.
And I also have the bloodline from my father's side of Magi, which the three Magi of the Christ. So both bloodlines are within my family heritage. And so when I was a child in Iran, by law, if you have the bloodline of the saints, you have to be exposed to learning ritualistic manners and being sent to classes, private classes, and you are then known to be a magi, a shaman. So that was given the right to me, and so I was given the name Sufi and the Magi. So I'm officially a Sufi and a Magi by lineage. So this is why I have the rights to perform ancient healing rituals and shamanic rituals of Iranian origin. And so my hope is to teach that to people and have them do it. I was very lucky, also been very lucky in Iran because now I've taught these ritualistic healing stuff to some of the private clinics and hospitals of Iran and also Turkey. So now they're doing it with their patients. So in some ways I've been very lucky that I was able to bring that. So hopefully it can grow and grow. I want to explain a little bit about these rituals and these dances. In ancient Persia, if you don't know much about it, we come from the Magi's, and the Magi's were Zoroastrians, known to be the fire worshippers. We believed in Mitra, the sun god or goddess. We don't name them, we say the creator. There's no male or female. So as Zoroastrians, we do not believe that it's a male or a female. It's a divine. It's something. It's a light, and so we believed in the sunlight as to cleaning the soul, and it was believed that the light was the seventh creation, the seventh savior. And so we would go into the fire temples and do rituals, and we would do whirling. As you can see in the picture, I'm whirling. So whirling for us is not just a dance. Whirling is a prayer. It's a moving prayer. As you go and sit in a church and pray, or in a mosque, or any other prayer, we would go into the temples and we would whirl around the orbit of the universe, because it is believed that once you are whirling around towards your heart, you bring that energy of healing within, and you receive the energy, and then you give back the good energy. And so it's a karmic law. And so we whirl by listening to our hearts, because oftentimes we never talk to ourselves. We neglect our heart ourselves, and when we only talk to ourselves is when we wake up in the morning and look at ourselves in the mirror and like, oh, hi, brush our hair. But whirling is a way of actually communicating and see what your heart tells you, or as Buddhist culture says, the monkey mind. It's the only way that we can figure out what is it that we are missing. And so it's a great way of receiving healing energy. It's a great way of receiving the answers you've been wanting to know. And the ancient traditions of Iranians believe it's a way of communicating with your ancestors. And so we have these, we do these whirling. And of course we have many different kinds of whirling. And the ancient Sufi or Zoroastrian tradition, it is believed that a person who is following the spiritual path has to go through 7 levels. And one of the levels is hope. You pass through 7 levels in your lifetime, and then you have to pass, you need to bring in the manifestation of 7 sacred elements. So we have 7 sacred animals, flowers, colors, planets. All these things create 7. We bring them all into the whirling, so we bring in the movements of the sacred animals, the birds, the flowers, and we put them all into our body. And at the end, that last point, pointing up to the divine, becomes the Star of 8, the Star of Magi, which many might know, Jesus was born under that star. And so it is believed in ancient Iran that in order to become this one with God, one with the divine, you have to have all the 7 in your body to become the one star. And that's when you become the whirler and you whirl. So what I teach is I teach the different kinds of styles of whirling, how to bring in the spiritual animal in your life, how to find your spiritual animal. These spiritual animals are healing, the flowers, everything that you bring in, the elements, water, earth, fire, and you put it into your whirling, you whirl, you turn, and you bring that healing energy into your life. Other dances, there's many sacred dances that we do, but we also do, part of what we do is, of course, the Iranian, they call it Iranian magic dances or shaman dances, or as in Persian we say shumahan. We have many different healing dances or healing rituals. For example, we have a ritual called the Gobati, which is the calling of the ancestors. And we sit in a circle, we chant, and this is mainly done by women. And the women sit, hold hands, and they start to toss their head up, down, and up. And as you toss your head down and up, the name of the deceased or of your past comes into the mind, and you chant that name, and it's believed that that person is there at the moment trying to heal you. We also have the sacred animal dance, where we all stand in a circle and we manifest the movements of the animals, and we believe that in the magician world, in the Magi world, we didn't believe that when you died, you died. You didn't die. You became the spirit, and the spirit can be anything. In Persian Zoroastrian culture, God is in everything. God is in this microphone. God is in this flower. And if you ever read Persian poetry, it explains that even the pot, there's space in it. The pot talks to you because God's space is in the pot. So we have to respect everything in nature. It was forbidden to destroy nature in ancient Persia. It was forbidden to harm an animal because God is in that spirit. And so as human, when we die, the body goes away, but the soul of the human becomes part of that nature. It never dies. And so it becomes an animal or a plant or a bird. And so by bringing those movements, then you can heal the sick, you can heal depression, you can heal anxiety. And many of these, of course, are facts because we researched it. We found archeological sites, tombs and temples that portrayed the people, doing these animal movements, dressed in white, or there's a lot of archaeological discoveries about these. So we do that. Part of some of my healing sessions are I do ancient stone therapy. And in ancient Iran, it was believed that stones kept the world's secrets. And stones carry away the negative energy. And so by us doing stone therapy, in the places that you have pain, or depressed or sad, we put stones, we bless the stones, and we put these stones in the places of the pointed energy. And that stone takes away that, as you know, in the ancient we'll say the evil spirit or the negative energy. And we throw away the stone after, or we crack it in order to crack that negative energy. And stones were powerful. We have villages in Iran we have 10,000-year-old villages. The houses are made out of just stone. And, you know, and Renaissance time, of course, you can see most houses were made out of stone because they believe that stone protects you from not being in harm. We have dances or healing rituals where we work with fire energy, wind energy, water, the natural sound of water. I use the healing warmth of fire, going outside, breathing air. All of these are healing energies that we do. I also do healing energy with drum, the beat of the drum. In ancient Iran, it was believed that drum is actually the beat of the heartbeat. So by you listening to the heartbeat and playing the rhythm of your heart, the Magi would know whether you have a heart problem or not. And so we do music therapy. And we have what we call 7 maqams, or 7 melody modes. And each 7 melody modes is part of the 7th part of the body. So by you playing those melodies, it connects you with the part of the body that you need healing. So all these are basically come together in order to heal, to do the ancient healing. Of course, whirling is so deep. Today, many people know whirling as the Sufi tradition. They see the whirling dervishes, just whirling for hours and hours and hours. Whirling goes back 10,000 years. The Chinese did it in the Buddhist culture, the Persians, and in the Zoroastrian temples. It goes back to many, many thousands of years. And I'd like to explain a little interesting history about this whirling. And many might see whirling being done by men. Men are turning, wearing the big dresses and whirling. And I want to explain a little bit about that. And before 6,000 years before the birth of Christ, BC, of course, the Persians would gather and whirl for the sun. They would wear whites and whirl. And it was only being done by women. Men were not allowed to whirl. Because in ancient Iran, it was believed that the woman is a descendant of the gods. The woman had the power to decide who would be the king and who would rule. So it was looked upon as Mitra. Woman was the sun goddess. And so the woman would be allowed to whirl. But unfortunately, of course, after thousands of years of wars and the Greco-Romans, especially with the Greco-Romans who didn't like the power of a woman, they came to Persia, Alexander came in, then Islam and Christianity, both Islam and Christianity killed a lot of the priestesses and destroyed that ritual, and it was forever banned. And during the golden age of Iran, which we believe that we all know the Persian poets coming in and the spirituality coming back, the golden age of Islam in Iran, these Persian poets started to bring back these spiritual traditions. They didn't want it to be destroyed. And the only way they could bring it back was to say, okay, let's do it, but let's not have the women do it because then they won't allow it. But if we allow the men to do it, then we can save it somehow. Wow. So they allowed the men to do it. The interesting point was that in ancient tradition, whirling by woman was done towards the right because of the orbit of the sun and Venus going towards the right. Now we turn to the left because of moon and earth and other planets, because Venus is a female energy and earth and moon are believed to be the male energy.
So now, if you're teaching to both men and women,
Yes.
would men whirl toward the left and women whirl toward the right?
No, it's
Just
free
everyone-
form,
just
which
any-
any form that the body, the energy takes you. We don't push it so that you have to learn it a certain way. So from then, of course, the male started to do it, and so that's how the whirling got changed. Why do we wear white when we are doing whirling or sacred dance? There are a couple of reasons. I'm going to explain both the scientific of it and the spiritual tradition of it. The spiritual tradition was believed that when you die, you don't die. You marry the divine. You marry the creator. So that is your wedding dress. This is why both men and women wear skirts when we are whirling. It is not just, oh, he's wearing a skirt. No, it's a wedding dress because as a man and a woman, you become equal as you are whirling. There is no male, there's no female. And so everyone wears a dress because that portrays the purity, no ego in you, and everyone's one. That color of white becomes oneness. It is believed that when you come into the sacred floor, when you're whirling, in a Zoroastrian or Sufi tradition, we do not judge who you are, religious-wise, ethnicity, or culture. Everyone is unique. This is why we wear white, to show that we are no different. So white is very important. Scientifically, it is believed that when you do wear white, because your eye tends to see colors, so if you start to wear different colors, you're going to get dizzy very quickly. So guess what? If everyone comes in and is wearing white, the eye sees no color, and so you're not getting dizzy. So this is another reason why everyone wears one solid color. Occasionally you will see, for example, in ceremonials that I go and there'll be hundreds of whirlers whirling, you will see one or two people wearing a different color, either black or red, because they're representing a different color planet. Okay, they might be, but also it is important to have one person to have a different color because that one person is your protector, walking around making sure you're not falling down or you're not getting sick. Or so by having one person to be a different color, in case someone is losing concentration or is getting sick, that color can wake them up. So it is important to have one different color tone when there are so many people whirling. I'm going to demonstrate some of the rituals that we do when we are doing the whirling, but all these rituals have a meaning, both spiritually and scientifically. So I'm going to try to, hopefully you can hear me when I come and explain it.
So you can take the microphone.
I have to.
Oh, yeah.
So as we come into the sacred floor, there is a ritual that we do to the teacher and the master. When we start to whirl, we always stand in, as we call it in Persian, the aleph. Aleph means one. Okay? So we stand in one. And that is the tree of life. Your foot, your arms, these are all your roots, and you are grounded, and this is the tree. And of course the tree needs water in order to grow. And so as we start to move, we start to create elements of water with our hands, and that gives it water. And as water starts to grow, your skirt goes up, that's air, and then your body gets heat, that's fire. So you have 4 elements within whirling. So we come to the floor in oneness, and we bow to everybody. Everyone bows to each other, because we are now the servants of each other. You are my servant, and I am your servant. And we cross our hands as if we are a servant to the divine. We bow to each other because each other have God's face in us. So you are God and I am God. And so we bow to each other. And we start to open our hands. And as we open our hands, we start to receive the energy of air and the divine. We bring our hands up. The right hand goes up to the sky, the left hand down to earth, receiving energy of the divine and giving back to earth. And as you are whirling, you are giving and receiving, giving and receiving. It is sharing. Whirling is sharing. You have the tendency, as Rumi would say, everyone is a whirler inside. They just have to find it. Everyone is a healer. So each of you can receive the energy and heal someone else. This is why when everyone whirls in the space, the energy is so powerful because everyone's healing each other. So you start to whirl. And slowly, the head tilts. And the head goes in this position, where the heart is. You listen to the heart. Now, of course, this is the spiritual tradition, but also, if you tilt the head, you're not going to get dizzy. But if you do it this way, you're going to get dizzy, because when you tilt the head, air goes in and it blocks it. But if you do it this way, air goes out through the ear and it makes you dizzy. This is why swimmers get dizzy when they first start to swim, because of that air. Okay? So, by doing this, you're actually not going to get dizzy. So it's a benefit of you to tilt the head. Okay? So, and then you breathe. Now we have 4 different kinds of breathing when during my therapy sessions or during the beginning of whirling, I always teach. There are 4 breathings: the air, wind, earth, and either. So we teach these breathing, and then each body, each person has its own way of breathing. You choose which breathing works for your body, and you choose that breathing, and you always breathe that way when you're whirling. Okay? And you whirl. Now, at any moment, then you start to bring your arms and hands in motion, and it becomes a dance, because each hand, for example, you create tulips, the sacred flower. You bring in the power of horses, move the shoulders. You bring the power of a lion. So you see people going into this aesthetic move as they're churning. It's because they are bringing all the sacred elements within their whirling to heal. Okay? And you go around, and then at the end, you come back again. It is believed that each time you start or you stop, you have to bow. Okay? And this bowing is very important, because you're bowing to the sacred ground. We are born from this, and we will die and going in. So it's very important. When we finish, we always go down, and we go and put our head down, and oftentimes either kiss the floor or put our forehead. Okay? Few reasons. In ancient Iranian tradition, it was believed that this here is your third eye. Okay? Oftentimes in Iran, I remember when I was a child, my grandmother would always kiss me here on the forehead. Because she said that by kissing you on the forehead, I'm passing healing energy to you. This is a very important spot. And so when you're whirling and you're finished and you put your head down, you receive all that energy here. Okay? And it is believed that it's also very good for headache. So you do that. But another reason, of course, when you're whirling for hours, and then you go down and you're just dizzy, when you put your head down, blood goes through your head and it stops the dizziness. So, another reason why they put their head down. When you're whirling, your body it starts to get very hot. It's very normal for people to sweat and be very hot. That's when we say they are in the aesthetic mode or fire mode, and they are in the mode of ecstasy. They will lose control and they go into another dimension. it is very important that you let go of yourself when you're whirling. To hold, you're not going to be able to feel the energy. You have to just let go, open your heart, and tell the divine, take me. And you never know which way the energy takes you. And you just whirl. Okay? Of course, for those who've never whirled, we have classes. We teach them some technique. We start step by step, breathing, body, rituals, and then slowly and slowly you go into the whirling. Everyone can whirl, but I cannot promise you when you can be free and be whirl. Every body, every mind is different. Some might be whirling within 2 weeks, go on for hours. Some might take months, but eventually you get it. There are preparation that we teach you, what to do, what to eat, water, exercises at home before you come. So all of these take some time, but once you're into that whirling mode, it is I have to say, one of the most amazing, powerful healing that one can do. You lose control and you are in a beautiful valley. And we call that valley the valley of awakening. Once you would put that whirling into work and you let go, you have passed all those 6 valley, and the 7th valley is the valley of awakening. The 6th valley is the hardest valley in the ancient tradition of Iran, because 6 to us is a bad number, omen. And it is believed that once people reach that 6th valley, it's that time that's it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't. I keep getting sick. I don't want to do this. And you have to say, no, just a little bit more. You have it, just a little bit more. And then once they pass that 6th valley, the valley of devastation we call it, then the valley of awakening happens. And it just hits you. You just start to whirl, and you have no idea how or when, it just hits you. So this is just a little bit of brief of ancient Persian rituals and healing dances. And I hope that I see some of you, and I hope that I can have classes here and teach some of these. And I would like to do some therapy session, shamanic therapy session, so please let me know if you're interested. Yes?
When you get into the state of awakening, when you're trying to come down, how do you break from one extreme to another without?
We train you of how to wake the mind. So the mind goes into a subconscious mode, and so we train you of how you can come back.
From one extreme to another.
No.
Right.
And the mind knows. Once it's trained, the mind knows, okay, I come back. It's a state of, as if you're meditating or you're praying. There's that moment where you're into yourself, and then suddenly you wake up. Yeah. So it's, the mind knows. The mind is powerful. You have to allow it to be in use. Thank you.
When are you going to start doing some classes here?
I was hoping soon, this month. So
Oh, you mean-
based on the schedule, we'll
December.
December, hopefully.
Good, because
yes.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.